Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing two looks and giving my overall thoughts of the new Natasha Denona Pastel palette. I have been so excited for this one since I saw it sneak peeked, and I think it randomly showed up in a store in Europe, like a Sephora accidentally put it out early, and there was a lot of buzz about it. We're like, is this real? Is this really happening? And it is here, the pastel palette for spring. I have been waiting for Natasha Denona to come out with the pastel palette, so I was really excited to pick this one up. I know they've had like their Tropic palette, they've had the Circo Loco, which are more colorful palettes, but they're not really a pastel palette, and I did skip on the Circo Loco because I just thought it was a little bit out of the ordinary for me. There was like a lot of bright colors going on there, so it was just an easy pass for me. But with the pastel, I feel like this color story goes a little bit better for my taste, so I definitely wanted to pick this up and try it out. So let me show you what this one looks like here. So I love the packaging of this palette. It's like a pink to mint ombre. I think it's absolutely stunning. This is one of her mid-sized palettes, so it is $65. And let's go ahead and look at the inside here. So this is the inside of the palette. So we do have a mixture of some fun pastel shades. There is a little bit of some deeper tones in there too to add some depth, but it is a majority of pastels, and there is a few different formulas in here. There's some mattes, there's some cream to powder mattes, some creamy like shimmer colors as well, some more metallic ones, and some duochrome. So there really is a lot going on here with the different textures and formulas, which Natasha loves to do in her palettes. It has a lot of the cream to powder in here, so if you guys are not a fan of that, then you might not like this one. But I thought the cream to powders worked for what it's kind of for, because pastels are very hard to work with sometimes. They can be very dusty, they can be see-through, so I think it helps to have those creamy colors in here because they get a little bit more opacity than some of the mattes. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I think it was nice to have those. Now there is like a million videos of this going up today, I'm sure, because pretty much if you order on Natasha Denona's site, she does a pre-order and then she ships everything around the same time, and usually you get it in about 2 days. So that is why there's so many videos going up today. It also officially released on Sephora. It was on the app yesterday, but you can get it on the Sephora website. I'll have it linked down below. I think Beautylish also carries it, but I tend to order from Natasha's website when I want the faster shipping, but it costs a lot of money. So now I'm like, maybe I should have just ordered from Sephora because it was like $25 to get the 2-day shipping for this. Otherwise, I do recommend ordering from Sephora because they're usually pretty quick. It might be in stores as well. I'm not totally sure on that. Now, as far as the colors go in this palette, I have heard there is some repeats in the Tropic palette. It looks like Limoncello is from the Tropic palette, as well as Mint Frost up here. So there is a couple of repeats. I'm not totally sure on the other ones. I have some Natasha palettes, but I don't own a lot of the colorful ones in her line. So I did want to mention that. That's just what I've seen so far, and there could be some more duplicate shades going on. I know the Tropic palette did not get the best reviews. I don't know if this formula is better or what the deal is, but I'll go ahead and insert the swatches. I just did a huge arm swatch so you can kind of see the whole color story, see what colors stand out to you. There is a couple of duochromes in here, like I mentioned, so a lot of those cream to powder shades, but there's going to be a ton of videos on this already, so there's going to be plenty of up close swatches, I'm sure. But just wanted to kind of share that. I thought the color story was very beautiful, so I did want to go ahead and test this out on my eyes. I did 2 looks, including this one I have on and a fun pinky look, so let's get into that. Alright guys, to start off this look, I'm gonna go into the feather shade, which is this pastel lavender, into the crease a little bit. So that does deliver some color. It's definitely a pastel though, so I'm not getting a ton from it, but it seems to be very buildable. Next, we'll deepen that up a bit. We'll go ahead and take this Tulle pink. This is more of a cream to powder formula. I'm gonna go right on top to add some more pigment there. And it's definitely looking more purple, and I don't know if that's because we did layer it with the lavender, but it's looking definitely more purple than pink. In the pan, it's almost like a salmon, but on the eyes, it's definitely looking more lavender. So next, I am gonna add Bora in the outer corner of my eye. And I'm just kind of packing this on. This is a cream to powder again, so it's not going to be ultra pigmented. Sometimes it helps, like this is probably not the right brush for this. Let me switch. I'm going to use a BK Beauty 203 and just kind of pack this on instead of blending, because then you'll get the most color payoff with those creamy shades by packing. It's just not going to be as super vibrant and pigmented as it looks in the pan. So next, with my finger, I'm actually going to go into Duet here. And this is like a fun duochrome. And I'm going to place this in kind of the center part of the eye. I love duochrome, like blue pinks. It reminds me of like early 2000s for sure. I'm going to try this duochrome shade, which is Illusion. And I did wet my brush for this one. And I'm going to place this in the very center of the eye. This one's like a pearl to pink duochrome. So for the lower lash line, I'm taking Bora, and I'm gonna kind of blend this across the entire lower section. I'm gonna take Dainty on my finger and just see what this does on top. I'm just kind of testing out the colors. I want to see what really is going to give us the most metallic finish. So that seems to brighten things up a bit. Dainty is definitely more shimmery than Duet is, so I did apply that right on top just to see what that did, and that's going to add more sparkle. You just kind of did the eyes for this first look. I did add some white eyeliner underneath. I always like white eyeliner with pastel eyeshadow, and I just did some mascara so you could see how it would look completely, but this is just a really pretty pastel pink type of look. I think for the next one I want to try out more of the blues and greens in the palette. Alright guys, it's time for look number 2. This is probably the one I am wearing in the intro and outro. I'm going to start off with trying out Brisk, which is this mint green, and I'm using a really tiny Rephr 13 brush for this to see if we can pack this color. I feel like mint eyeshadows, I always want it to be like crazy pigmented, but it must be like super hard to get that formula because I have not really found a ton of mints that just go on crazy opaque. They definitely usually take some layering with these kind of pastel colors. Alright, next I'm going to take Airy on top of that. It's the sky blue. I usually go from lightest to darkest when I'm blending stuff. So that definitely made it more of like a fun sky blue. It brightened things up. It's pretty opaque as well. So this is a really good blue pastel. All right, I have another cream to powder shade that we're going to use called Bubble. So I'm going to take a flat brush again and pack this on the outer portion. Super pretty color. I feel like these creams work really well for these pastel colors because since it is a little bit more hard to get the opacity with a matte, like having that creamy formula, I feel like you do get more color payoff. Let's do Bellini, this peach, also in the center of the eye. See, I think what would be good for this is using a white base because you could tell that it's a little bit see-through here. And if you did like go over and do like a cut crease with concealer, I think it would show up a bit more brighter and poppier. So usually with pastel palettes, I do like to do a cut crease, but I just kind of wanted to see how this performed on its own. But then it kind of starts mixing in with the blues and it creates like this weird kind of green color. I am going to take Bubble on my lower lash line as well. And then I'm going to dip into Limoncello for the inner corner, which is this fun like buttercup yellow. I'm just going to actually take this across the rest of my eye because I'm not feeling this orange at all. So I'm just going to go over that. We're just kind of experimenting here. But yeah, the orange is just not doing it for me with this look. And I know that orange and blue are complementary colors, but I don't know. It was kind of ruining the whole vibe for me. And I feel like I need something here as well. So I'm looking at this palette wondering what I want to do. Maybe I'll try Mint Frost. Take my finger and we'll put this on the outer section. So I'm kind of just going over what I placed there originally. Luckily, this shade's super pigmented and it has a lot of shimmer to it, so it kind of just covers all that orange that I just did not like at all. I think that's what I'm going to do. It looks a little bit crazy now, but I'm going to add concealer to clean this up. I'm going to put lashes on and it'll all come together in the end, I think. Alright guys, here's the finished look all together. Absolutely loved it. I was a little nervous at first, especially because I feel like we had to try a little harder to kind of make it work, but I absolutely love the full look all together, the lashes and everything, and I did add more white liner on the bottom. So just a really fun kind of bluish yellow look for this one. So let's get into my final thoughts on the eyeshadow palette. Alright, so after we kind of tested out the palette, we played with a lot of the shades in here. I want to kind of give my first impression thoughts on this. Of course, it does take a little bit more trying, but I'm pretty familiar with Natasha's formula and what to expect from her eyeshadow palette. So like I mentioned, I was really excited for this to launch because I just knew like Natasha's pastel palette is going to be incredible. This is going to be like my #1 pastel palette in my collection because you really don't need like a lot of them. I have a couple which I'm going to compare today as well, but I still feel like I need a white base with some of these shades. Like I was expecting a little bit more opacity, a little bit more pigment coming from Natasha and not so much building that I needed to do because I did feel like I did need to build a lot. Now it is pastels, but when I'm thinking of Natasha, I'm thinking of like more pigmented shadows, like one and done. I don't have to build up a lot because that's what I'm used to with her formula. But I mean, it's not a bad palette by any means. We created some gorgeous looks, but some of them just seemed a little bit see-through when I was playing with the colors, which I don't care for. So when I want like a good pastel palette, I feel like I really shouldn't have to use a white base or a concealer to cut crease everything and like blank stuff out. I feel like it should give me that pigment up front, which yeah, I'm kind of surprised this didn't deliver that for me. But I really like the looks that we did today. There's some gorgeous like duochrome colors in here, and I do think I'm going to get a lot of looks with this one. I tried to go out of the box today, but I think what I'm going to mostly be doing is more monochromatic looks. That's what I'm good at with color. I'm not good at like mixing and matching different things. Like when I tried the orange, the peachy orange, it just did not work out how I wanted it to, but I think it would have been fine if I did have a base laid down besides eyeshadow primer. I feel like I would have liked to see, for each colorful shimmer, I would have liked to see a matte color that matched it. Like it would have been nice to like set a matte yellow down and put the shimmer on top of it, like have a more sky blue shimmer instead of the mints to just go with those. That's just my preferences and how I like to do my makeup. I think that could have made it a lot better for me than having some of those mattes just be a little bit see-through on my eyes. So I think it's good, but I did expect a little bit more coming from Natasha Denona. Now let's compare it with some of the other palettes in my collection. Let's look at it next to Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This is a really popular one. It's actually on sale quite a bit. I feel like Natasha's is definitely a lot more colorful. Huda's has more neutral colors going on, but with Huda, I never need a white base. I know that for sure. Like the colors are opaque, but it doesn't really have kind of those lighter shades as the Natasha does. It does have like a mint. It's not quite as light as the Natasha. It has a peach, a pink, but I think Natasha definitely overall has a lighter kind of overall scheme, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys those next to each other. I don't think they're really dupes. Now this is one of my favorite pastel palettes in my collection, and this is from Laura Lee Los Angeles, which is Laura Lee's makeup line. It's called Candy Skies, and I can kind of see some similar vibes going on here, but I feel like with Candy Skies you can build up depth still, while Natasha's is definitely more of a true pastel palette. This one has some pastel shades and kind of the same ones, like purples, greens, the mints, the blues, and the pinks. There's no yellow in Laura Lee's palette, but this one still, I think, tops Natasha's for me just because I can build up more with it and I didn't have to use a base with any of the colors. So I don't know, you guys. I might like Laura's a little bit better than Natasha's overall. Just color scheme and the quality and everything. I do love Natasha's shimmers though, but some of them weren't as metallic as I was expecting from some of her other palettes. I was thinking, I don't even know if you can get this palette anymore, the Candy Skies. It might be like limited edition. I don't even know if they still sell it. I have to double check. And then this is a recent launch. I did a video on this one. It's actually very similar to the Laura Lee palette, and this is Too Faced Too Femme little butterfly palette. I definitely don't really care for this one. The mattes are just not great, especially with like the mints and stuff. It just took a lot of building. So I just wanted to kind of compare those because they have a very similar color scheme as well, comparing Too Faced and Natasha. But I definitely prefer Natasha's over the Too Faced, especially with the mattes, and the shimmers are so much prettier in Natasha's palette, but definitely similar color scheme going on, but more depth to be built up with Too Faced because it has some neutrals. I don't know if I really have any exact dupes, so there's some similar palettes in my collection. But yeah, ranking like my pastel palettes, it was really hard to beat these two in my collection. These have just kind of been my go-tos. So I think it's nice. I'm excited to have it in my collection and play with it a bit more. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts here. I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking too. I still think we created some gorgeous looks here. I just do have a couple similar palettes in my collection. That's kind of hard to beat. I know with pastel palettes, those kind of colors are just really popular, having the pinks, the yellows, the mints, and all of that. So you might have something similar in your collection, but I just think this is really fun for spring. I think that's going to be it for this video. I just kind of wanted to test it out, get my videos up, create some looks if you guys need some inspo, and just see what this palette is all about and what I think. But that is going to be it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.